it, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And then we can go to the studio, whatever.
I don't know. What kind of art actually happens in a studio?
Yeah, really. We just had the Austin studio tour, East Austin studio tour. We were part of that. So the studio set up like a store, kind of like a gallery store.
Mm-hmm.
You see, had a couple of different artists.
Oh yeah.
And this is, yeah, and these were the signs that were made for
Oh yeah, there we
Blue
go.
Cow Studio.
Blue Cow. So that's the name of your studio.
It's Blue
Blue
Cow
Cow
Studio. Yeah.
Awesome. And what is your name?
My name is Ethan. My last name is Azarian.
Yeah.
And I've been over here in East Austin since 2003. And I've been in Austin since '89. So I lived in various places before I moved here.
And I know that you played music for a while, or you still do.
I still do, yeah.
And then the painting came after the fact. Is that after the music, correct?
Well, I'd always painted when I was in school, elementary and high school.
Oh, you have.
Yeah,
So you've always
so
done
at an
that.
early age I was painting, but I didn't become serious about painting until I was in my 30s.
Oh,
So
okay.
well after high school.
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
go to college.
Yeah.
But well after high school I started painting just sort of for financial reasons, because I could sell paintings, and it was a lot like playing music, you know, very expressive and creative. So I liked going from painting visually to playing music live on
Right.
stage. So
Right.
both of them are very similar and very different. So I decided to do both, and sometimes that's a struggle
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard to do either one actually and make money from it. And then doing both of them is like, if you're spending all your time on the road playing, then you're not making art. And if you're making art all the time, you're not on the road playing. But for the record, art is the breadwinner, really. That's how I make my money mostly. Right. Or make maybe $2,000 or $3,000 from playing music. Yeah, I'll tell you, that's what I make. If you're a musician in
You got
Austin,
the truth.
Yeah.
You got the truth. Tell people the truth, Ethan.
Well, there's a few of us who make more than that, but
Right. So
I'm actually surprised. $2,000 or $3,000 a year playing locally in Austin. Sure, that's, you know, those are happy hours and house concerts.
right. Fun times at least.
I enjoy playing so much that I won't stop playing it. So playing music. So if I make anything from it, it's just kind of like icing on the cake, really.
Right.
Now, if I were really want to make a living from that, obviously that's not enough to sustain yourself. I'd have to really get out of Austin and play and have things people could buy. But that's why I do visual art. So.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yep.
A lot easier to stay in town. You've got family and.
Yeah, and there's more funding in Austin for visual arts than music. Especially if you have your own gallery space or you're part of the East Side Studio Tour, you can get funding from the city.
Right.
And I do mural projects with students, which is, the city really likes that. I'm doing a community service. And so I get funding from the city to do work with kids.
That's right. So you've painted some murals around town. Is that correct?
Some just myself, and then collaborations with elementary and high school students.
So do they get to do some of the painting with you? Oh, that's
At
really
least half
cool.
or most.
Oh, wow.
Or more than half.
That's great. So
Most of it.
it's almost like an internship for them in a way.
Yeah, and
Cool.
they get to express themselves and paint what's important to them, and they take into consideration what the neighborhood the school is in, so they might reference other businesses around their school, or people in that neighborhood who had some impact years ago or now.
Cool.
And so that's really a lot of fun for me because the students are helpful and they're imaginative, and I like being around that energy.
Sure.
And then the teachers are there to help or volunteer. So I'm not a disciplinarian. I'm just here, paint this wall.
You don't have to.
If the kids are getting crazy, the teacher Yeah.
take over.
Yeah,
That's
at the
great.
end of the day, I'm just cleaning up. The worst thing is I'm cleaning up all the brushes that are scattered all over the ground.
Sure.
Wasted paint and all that, that's just...
Right. So I know I didn't talk to you about this. So if I'm putting you on the spot and this isn't going to work in this context, let me know. But I was wondering if you could give us, with the art that's in here, sort of an introduction to your art. You know, what typifies your art, and just kind of
Yeah.
Not, I don't want you to say, I'm not in any way going to ask you to tell me what it means. Just kind of, show us kind of some good examples of what people might be in for if they come check out some art of Ethan Azarian's.
Well, we can start with this red room.
Okay.
This is inspired by Van Gogh's bedroom. When I decided to be a painter in my early 30s, this would have been 95, 96, 1995, 96. I had a Van Gogh book was in this house I was staying at, and they had all the famous pictures of paintings of Van Gogh. So I really liked the bedroom. So I started doing different. First I did the original, of course I can't paint as good as Van Gogh, but I did different versions of that painting. And then I started just doing my own thing. So often I'll put flowers and a little nightstand. And here's another example of that.
Oh, okay.
That's old. This is when I started doing the blue cow. Started putting the blue cow everywhere.
Right. Was that one of the first places where the blue cow appeared?
No, the blue cows appeared usually in the farm scenes.
Okay.
They're sort of like a farm scene. I always do these houses. They're sort of just real simple houses like you'd find in the countryside in Vermont, because I'm from Vermont. So there's a lot of landscape paintings.
Yeah. So would you say a lot of sort of what you see and what you paint is kind of somehow based on your growing up in Vermont?
Well, I've spent a lot of time in Mexico, a lot of time, like 6 months during 2007. And we stayed in a place called Guanajuato, which is in the mountains. And there's a lot of cathedrals and a lot of brightly colored houses. And that's sort of my interpretation. I never worked with photographs, it's just sort of from memory.
Right.
And when I was thinking about painting Guanajuato, I thought, oh, okay, this is like, there's this lovely green and this pinkish purple. So I just sort of do my own interpretation from what I see visually. There are a lot of artists that take photographs and they'll look at pictures in magazines and they'll get ideas, but for me it's just sort of after the fact.
Right.
This is a new series inspired from Japan. When I went to Japan a month ago,
Oh yeah.
there's a city called Oita that's right on the water, and it has the mountains are kind of shaped like this around it. And so I did a whole series.
And Oita is a sister city of Austin,
Of
is that
Austin,
correct?
right.
And so you went there on some sort of goodwill ambassadorship, is that correct?
Cultural exchange,
Cultural
exactly.
exchange. Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about that program and what you did there and your experience?
Well, I was lucky enough to be asked to go to play music and do visual art. And the visual art was just a painting for the mayor of Oita.
Okay.
Austin skyline. And then I brought back a painting from there with the Oita skyline. Oita is a city of maybe 500,000.
Okay.
And there's a big international music festival. So we got to go to represent Austin, me and my friends, Lindsay and Jeff. So we played music on 4 or 5 different stages. And then I presented the mayor of a painting, about 16 by 20 inches, a nice size painting.
Yeah. And were you well received? I mean, how did you feel the audiences and the reception?
Oh, everybody was really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an international music festival. There are a lot of families there. It was open to the city. It was free.
Wow.
So everywhere you looked, there was like music and cafes on the corner. And we played some of the international stages. The people from China, Africa, South America, kind of doing traditional and maybe not traditional music from their culture.
So you were doing traditional Austin music from your
Well,
culture?
no, I'm more of a singer-songwriter, eclectic. Right, we weren't doing.
I mean, maybe that is
country
traditional
western.
Austin.
Well, yeah, it would be because there's
Right.
all kinds of music here in Austin, so it was in a sense, yeah. But we weren't doing like the two-step or Texas
Right.
swing or.
No, I know.
Country.
I know.
you
Yeah,
do.
I know what you're talking about. Well, actually, that brings. I remember this really funny story. Maybe you can recall and tell the good people of Austin when you went and played the airport gig. You
Oh,
went
yeah.
and played an airport gig,
Yeah.
and the way they billed you. There's special.
Oh, what was it? I forgot.
You forgot.
Oh, Keeping Austin Weird.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah, right.
what were the other artists had something else? You know, country music from
Right.
from Austin or like rock and roll from Austin.
It was Ray Benson.
Ray
There's a
Benson.
big picture of Ray Benson and like and country music or whatever. No,
So-
that's right.
West.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So what was
And
this?
then that had my name and it just said Keeping Austin Weird.
That was your right. That was your genre.
I should have taken a photograph of it. It's so perfect.
Oh yeah, I wish you had
I didn't
that.
even think about it.
That's yeah.
That was a soulless gig. Yeah.
A soulless or
Soulless.
soloist or soulless?
Soulless. Don't put that in there. 'cause
No, I'm taking all this out.
No, yeah.
I'm not keeping any of this.
I wouldn't either. This is a painting I do frequently. This is a small version, but I've done a lot larger versions, and I've done a triptych
Mm-hmm.
of this. It's called Winter Village, so this would definitely be inspired by Vermont
Okay.
and being cold as a kid. So, and often I'll do them in series, so you can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a fun painting because this is sort of like a little village.
Okay.
And I remember going to school in the village, and every house would have a plume of smoke. It'd be like 20 below zero out, and there'd be this plume of smoke going straight up into a clear, bright, sunny day sky. Like freezing, right?
Right,
But the
right.
little houses were all kind of together. And so, of course, I did my own version of it. But I like this painting, and I painted it.
Sort of like MC Escher without the stairs.
Yeah, maybe so. It's so like they can fit together. Yeah, stairs would be too
Stair-
daunting.
Yeah, you don't want to paint any stairs. And then I can just show a little bit of these little 7 guys here.
No, those are also, yeah, I do a lot of those little houses. And then for a while I did chairs when you're ready.
Yeah, well, I was just going to show some of the color palettes that you'll see in the. Then there's a lot of banana.
I'm gonna go check
A lot of banana.
check my pea soup.
Oh yeah, that's
All
important. Hi, this is Ryan Morris with another episode of Community Connection, part of my series bringing community leaders and artists and local business owners to the community. And I'm here with Ethan Azarian, artist extraordinaire, musician. I've known Ethan for a really long time. He has a very unique way of expressing himself, both musically and through visual arts. And I thought it'd be a really good opportunity to sit down here and kind of talk about pea soup.
Yeah. Well, you caught me on a good day because I'm making leftovers into something that's gonna be tasty for tonight's meal. And I have
Awesome.
a bunch of ham left over, and I'm turning it into what else?
Pea soup.
Yeah, of
Awesome,
course.
awesome. Okay, all
Pea
right.
soup first, then art.
Then art, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's no art. Art on an empty stomach is sad art indeed.
Well, I can be inspired by being hungry.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, but still sad. Probably
Yeah,
sad. There's gonna be
yeah.
sadness there for
Yeah,
sure.
but not necessarily. Sometimes it's good not to overeat.
That's true. Unfortunately, I don't know about that. I don't know much about
Well,
that.
Neither
Yeah.
do I actually.
Yeah,
I've always
right.
had just enough.
Right. You've heard about it. You've read about
Right.
it, but it's not. So, kind of tell us a little bit about how did you get into art? Is this something you've always been a passion of yours?
Yeah, my parents were both artists and musicians. My dad was a musician. My mom's a printmaker and
Oh, okay.
book illustrator. So I was introduced to art right away.
Okay.
And music was always being played in my house. My dad's friends and mom's friends. And then my mom was always working in the house and using the house as a studio until she actually could afford to get a studio some years later when I was older. So it was an easy model.
Right.
It was right there. And so when I got older, especially in high school, I started to find my voice musically first, really.
Mm-hmm. As you do, get a guitar.
Yeah,
high
guitar
school.
and banjo and mandolin. I played. It was mostly folk
Okay.
music that I'm influenced by. My dad was a folk musician, and like old time traditional folk music from Appalachia. That's what he was really passionate about. So not like folk music in Bob Dylan sense or singer-songwriter sense. There's this actual music that dates back to the 1800s. And then late in high school, I had a really cool art teacher who helped me discover painting, oil painting. So very early on, I painted with oils.
Okay.
And then when I left high school, I didn't go to college. When I left high school, I switched from oil to acrylic because it was cheaper and you didn't have to have all the solvents.
Right. Easier process.
Easier process.
Yeah, because I've pretty much everything I've seen of yours has been the acrylic.
Yeah. Or if I'm doing outdoor murals, I'll just get a good exterior.
Oh, right, exterior paint.
Yeah, which is basically acrylic. It's like plastic.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha. And so so you graduated high school, and you were living in Vermont at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then how did you make your way down to Austin?
I had a friend who moved here in the early 80s. There was a boom here in the 80s, apparently.
Apparently, okay.
And there was a lot of building going on and people moving here, and he was one of the people who moved here in the early 80s. He was a carpenter, he had a lot of work, but he was hanging out with a lot of musicians that he made friends with down here. He was of the age, he was 20, whatever.
Right.
So he's like slinging nails and drinking beer.
Right.
But wanting to go out and meet people. So he met a lot of people. He said, come down here. There's lots of music and art. It's warm. Music was the first thing that I did. I immediately started playing in all the usual places. A Hole in the Wall, Electric Lounge.
Oh, yeah.
Emos when it first came to town.
Right.
On Red River.
Red River, yeah. That place that was about to...
Continental Club.
Right.
I was thinking of all the different Cactus Cafe. We played the Cactus Cafe early when I first moved. Maybe by the early 90s we played the cafe.
Okay.
Texas Union. There's a place in the Texas Union that also had bands.
Yeah. Sure.
And then started doing South by Southwest. All through the mid 90s, early 2000s, we always played for the festival.
Yeah.
And then by the middle of 2006 or 7, I just started playing solo. The band went different ways, and I started doing like house concerts and happy hours. So that's what I do now mostly.
For music, as far as music is concerned.
And I made 5.
And that was your band, the Orange Mothers?
Bands was the Orange Mothers, was the rock band.
The rock band, yeah.
And now I just go under my own name.
Right.
Ethan Azarian, or Austin's Own Aging Musicians.
Right. Yeah.
Or 2 Telephone Wednesdays.
Right.
Or Azarian and the Telephones.
Okay, now it's getting a little confusing. You might have to take some notes.
Yeah.
Remember, take some notes. So, if someone wants to find out more about your music or hear some of the old tracks or go see you live now, is there a website where people can find out about what you're doing?
Yeah, you can go to EthanAzarianmusic.com.
Yeah, think about it. Yeah, okay. All right, EthanAzarianmusic.com.
And there's both music and art at that website.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's you, Ethan Azarian Music. Although it says music, so it's a little misleading.
It's more music. And then for art, it's EthanAzarian.net.
.net.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All
complicated.
All right.
And part of the reason it's complicated is I'm just not so savvy with the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. I mean, there's 2 websites.
It's a combination of complicated and then just not into doing it.
Right. So, Ethan, if you're, mostly doing art now, is that? I mean, I know that's, part where you're making your money, earning your living through art, which is, it's a real rare thing to find. Not a lot of people are able to do that. And so, could you talk a little bit about how you were able to figure out how to negotiate that, or was it like street smarts, or just was it ambition, or just out of necessity, or kind of how did that come about?
That's a really good question. It was a lot to do with being focused, and a lot to do with being prolific. So when I paint a lot of paintings at the same time, and I can work really small or I can work really large.
Right.
So the fact that I can produce a lot of work quickly was instrumental in that, being able to sell stuff and keep fresh work and do multiple shows. And in the beginning I did a lot of cafes and restaurants, so I could have a couple of shows up at the same time. And there was a certain price point I hit that I knew I could sell work for, and then if it was more expensive than that, I would not be apt to sell.
Okay.
So I figured that out. So I would say savvy, focus, and then just being able to produce a lot of work.
Right.
And so those and necessity, I was
Right.
really determined not to work for somebody else. I would have been 35 when it came very clear to me, as we're sitting here, like, oh, wait a minute, I want to do music and art and not have a day job. I'm going to have to really figure that out and see how I can do it without, see what the compromise might be. Compromise was food stamps, having other people live at the house that I rented the house out to, so I had to get roommates, and go without sometimes just stay home for weeks on end and just work. When I first started painting, I did it like a job. It's hard to believe that I did this, but I worked 6 hours a day, 9 to 3, just painting.
Wow.
And I missed it any time. I'd have to go back and make up that time on the weekend.
Okay. So you really treated it like a job.
I really treated it like, it wasn't like if I took a break and washed my clothes and made dinner for myself, like that was off the clock.
Right.
So the actual painting was actually 6 hours.
This is really interesting, because that sounds a lot like, you got business coaches that are, when you own your own business, and they kind of tell you like, yeah, you've got to treat it like a job, and you've got to be your best employee. And so it's interesting that did somebody tell you that you needed to do that and have that discipline, or did you just sort of figure, you just had the instinct of like, you know what, if I've got to do this, or it's just not going to work.
Right, and I was lucky enough to be prolific enough to feel like I could actually paint for 6 hours a day.
Right.
And have something to say and not get frustrated and go, I can't stand this.
Right.
But because of the way I work, it was conducive to just making this. Sometimes I'll do 4 or 5 of the same painting, all different backgrounds or different composition, but I'm always trying different things. Like if you write songs, you're trying, what would it sound like if I went to this chord?
Oh, okay.
So the same kind of approach.
Right.
I think a lot of it was I was untrained. I didn't go to school, so I didn't have a lot of chatter in my head about how I should paint. So when I first started painting, it was really real kid-like, and still is real colorful, real kid-like.
Right.
And people would say outsider art or folk art.
Right.
It's not like.
Well, there is a childlike aspect of your art
and music too.
That has a lightheartedness to it, I guess.
Yeah, I see the sense of humor in things.
Right. Right.
But then I also like to get melancholy and serious and happy, whatever, profound.
Sure, all the feelings.
Yeah,
all the feelings. Well, I know that you have a certain liaison with the city, or you've applied for city grants.
Yeah.
How is this? I know you're very much involved in the city culture. You've been here for almost 30 years. And then the city, though, it seems like it's been pretty good for you as far as support. So what kind of, what have you found as far as that's concerned?
The city's really awesome. They have money to give to artists and musicians and people who are involved in the arts. The whole idea is they want to promote tourism and they want to keep the arts alive and well in Austin. They want somebody like me who has a piece of land in a studio to open my doors and welcome people in from
Right.
the neighborhood.
Right. And that's part of the East Austin studio
Yes,
tour,
that's
correct?
Why that works so well.
Okay.
And then when I do murals in high schools or elementary schools, I'm working with students, and that's a great opportunity for students to work with an artist
Right.
who helps them design and paint their mural.
Right.
So, being an artist, of course, part of the job is always looking for funding. So 4 years
Right.
ago, I just said, I gotta do this because it's money that I'm leaving on the table if I don't do it. And the first year was really tough.
Yeah.
I didn't understand anything. It was intimidating.
Sure.
But I came to quickly learn that the city, they're not intimidating you. They're actually, they have classes, or you can meet with them certain times of the month and they'll walk you through parts of your application.
All right.
Or you can call them anytime and go, hey, what's this on line 13? What should I put here for what you're asking?
Right.
And they're only too happy to help. And that's something I didn't realize. I realized, like, they say, here's the application, and then you'd go sit in front of some judges and they'd be going, oh, well, you know.
Oh yeah, you thought there'd be a lot of like, you suck, you're judgmental,
Yeah,
and blah blah blah. You
yeah,
know, what
so
are you doing here? And
I really did.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like, oh, I'm not a grant writer, but they really walk you through it.
yeah, so it's you found the people
Yeah.
at the city responsible for this and facilitating this that were really helpful for you.
The Cultural Arts Division, which has an office downtown, is a go-between the city and you or your or your fiscal sponsor. So they're just there to help you, to invite you to the grants,
Right.
and then help you walk it through. And then the city signs off on it. You know,
Right.
The city council will go, yes, we know this person. Yes, we're going to give them the X amount of dollars they've asked. So. I would highly recommend anybody doing any sort of project, music or art, and they want to fund themselves, you can do it. And the criteria is having a mission, answering all their questions, and then having an event. I only got there organically.
Right.
I only got there because certain things fell into place where suddenly I had an opportunity to work at a school, and then the art teacher had to actually come and ask me if the kids could work on the mural. And honestly, my first reaction was, no way.
Yeah.
This is my mural.
Yeah.
I didn't say that to her, but I distinctly remember going,
You were concerned. I was like, oh, this sounds like a bad disaster.
right, I don't
Potential
want
for
kids to make,
disaster.
this is my mural.
Yeah.
And somebody in the neighborhood was paying me to do the mural for the school, a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
There's always volunteers that help with the school, or students, or they have kids who go to that particular school. But I told the art teacher, I stalled. I said, give me a couple days to think about it. It's probably a good idea. And then I thought about it really later that afternoon, and I thought, well, they could paint a section of the wall. I could give them a section.
Right.
This is a 200-foot wall.
Oh,
that I
wow.
was painting.
Yeah.
So I had it all worked out in my mind what I wanted to do. And I gave them that section, and then that went so well, I gave them 3 or 4 other sections where the kids just painted, and that whole idea of working with schools was born from that instant. So I had no intention of ever going to schools, and this was just somebody found me who lived in this neighborhood and said, can you paint a mural for the school? And I didn't think they were serious, and we met a couple times. I had to meet with the principal of the school. A lot of things had to fall out for that. That's how it works, And now I couldn't be happier. Oh, let me plug myself.
Sure,
I did a nice mural for the Soup Peddler at the 12th and Lamar store.
Okay. So you can go check out his work, Soup Peddler, 12th and Lamar, and then you can get some delicious soup or a smoothie. It's quite delicious.
I went through the whole menu there, and it was funny because David said, the owner said, okay, I'll give you X amount of dollars. So we agreed on a price.
Yeah.
He's art friendly, so he was like, whatever. I'm not going to pay you crazy amount, but I'll pay you what it's worth.
Right.
No problem. And you get to eat whatever you want while you're there. And so I just started eating like.
You just went through the whole menu?
Well, kind of did, yeah. And halfway through the project, it took like 3 weeks. I said to him, you know, I'm eating a lot. Well, I kind of fessed up that I'm trying all these different smoothies. I get there and I have this. Then later in the afternoon, I'll have this.
Do you are you look on their website at night? Just for the
No.
what am I gonna? What is my meal plan for tomorrow? Okay, I'm gonna plan.
Oh, it's so exciting! I
Yeah.
went through the whole methodically, and halfway I just said, "Look," and so we agreed. He kind of laughed. So, how about half price? So I said, even in a half price, I still like spending $20 a day.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Sure.
It's not cheap.
It was funny.
What was your favorite thing that you tasted?
Strawberry banana with bee pollen. This was a smoothie.
Okay.
Strawberry banana, blueberry, so good. Bee pollen. I mean, you can get all these different things in it. And
Yeah.
maybe there's something else. And I would get wheatgrass juice, a couple of shots of that stuff,
Right.
which is expensive.
Yeah.
And then I loved the chili. It was vegetarian chili with Fritos.
Oh,
Fritos
yeah,
on
like a little
top.
Frito pie.
That's so good. And I
Mhm.
liked all the sandwiches. I mean, nothing wasn't like, I don't know, the soup was just really good. I go back to my soup, I can hear it boiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kids, I just want you to know that if you choose art as a career path, it's mostly about soup
Yeah. And bread.
and free sandwiches.
And free sandwiches.
Ethan, it's always a pleasure, man.
Yes, Ryan.
Yeah.
Off the books.
Yeah. Off the books.
Yeah.
Exactly. Turn it off. Turn it off.